Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Trail Mix, where the nuts might be a little stale, but the company is always fresh.
Hello, Jamie.
Hello.
We're live.
Okay, I'll watch my language.
And we've got in the background here the magnetometers at the UN. I mean, now this is detailed coverage. We are covering the magnetometers at the UN now.
If anything starts beeping, run.
Yeah, and then the UN Security Council is convening any minute now to take up Estonia's complaints about Russia's jets over their airspace Friday when they were intercepted. The Russian fighter jets had turned off their communications, which indicates ill will, I would think. So they wouldn't communicate with the intercepting aircraft from NATO, just turned off their radios, and spent about 12 minutes over NATO airspace and flew away.
I've got the comments highlighted in case anybody starts talking to us from the outside world.
Oh yeah, that's good. I don't always keep an eye on that, so that's good to do. But anyway, did you watch any of the Charlie Kirk, whatever that was yesterday?
I caught the president, and then I caught his widow.
Uh-huh.
And it's funny when it comes to evangelical Christians, I never know whether they are true believers or performance artists. It's
hard to tell.
It sets my teeth on edge about it. And
yeah,
I'm sorry.
I mean, some of it just does seem so performative.
Yeah,
and it's hard to tell. But speaking of the president, I got this kind of stunned me. I mean, I don't know if you heard this little routine of his.
Because all they did was kill people on the other side. And now they're sitting in my office, and they're at the Oval Office. It's pretty wide. And they had one over here, one over there. And slowly, over the course of about an hour, they came close. And at the end of an hour, we were hugging each other and holding hands. It was an amazing thing, and we settled that war. That was not settleable, as the expression goes. Cambodia and Armenia, it was just starting, and it was a bad one.
Yeah, what are they, about 4,000 miles apart?
Yeah, they're not even in the same hemisphere. And he thinks they were at war with each other, and he settled it. I mean, what planet does that man live on? And the thing is, it's hard for his supporters to say, oh, it was a slip of the tongue. I mean, he went on and on about it. I mean, Armenia and Cambodia, we settled it. It'd been going on for 50 years. And it just got, I don't even know what he was talking about.
Hugging.
Yeah. I mean, there is a conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan, which I guess is what he was trying to refer to. I don't know. I have no idea. It's crazy.
Which, of course, whenever I hear about Armenia, I hearken back to my time in Fresno. There really wasn't a major problem between black and white, but between Okies and Armenians. Holy cow. Anyone with IAN on the back of their name,
Uh-huh.
No one from an Okie family would marry.
Well, here are
The
these.
provisional agenda for this
One thing
meeting
I
is
like about the
threats,
Security
international
Councils,
peace,
they pretty
and
much start
security.
on time.
Uh-huh.
They're
The
cracking up
agenda
here
is
right on
adopted.
time. They go through some.
I'd like to
I
warmly
think that's a
welcome
cool room. I
distinguished
love that national security
ministers
meeting room.
and
It's
other high-level representatives
room.
present in the Security Council chamber. Your presence today underscores the importance of the subject matter under discussion. In accordance with Rule 37 of the Council's Provisional Rules of Procedure, I invite the representative of Estonia, Germany, Latvia, Kingdom of the Netherlands, Poland, Romania, Sweden, and Ukraine to participate in this meeting.
They call the Netherlands a
It
kingdom.
is so
I didn't know
decided.
that.
In accordance with Rule 39 of the Council's Provision Rules of Procedure, I invite Mr. Miroslav Yencha, Assistant Secretary General for Europe, Central Asia, and Americas, Departments of Political and Peacebuilding Affairs and Peace Operations, to participate in this meeting. It is so decided.
Make it so.
In accordance with Rule 39 of the Council's Provision Rules of Procedure, I also invite Her Excellency Ms. Kaja Kallas, High Representative of the European Union for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy and Vice President of the European Commission, to participate in this meeting. So
King
decided.
Wilhelm Alexander of the Netherlands.
King Wilhelm.
The Security Council will now
Oh, they have a
begin
king
its
now.
consideration of
Yes,
item 2.
the Queen,
of the
I
agenda.
believe,
And I give the floor.
abdicated in
Mr.
favor of her
Miroslav
son.
Yencha.
So I vaguely remember that.
Mr. President,
Yeah.
in a letter dated 20 September
Oh, here
2025,
comes Estonia's
addressed to
complaint.
the President of the Security Council, the permanent representative of Estonia to the United Nations informed that on 19 September, 3 Russian MiG-31 fighters entered up to 10 kilometers inside Estonia's airspace for 12 minutes in violation of Estonian airspace. The United Nations is not in a position to confirm any of the claims made regarding the incident and does not have any further details of the events. This briefing is therefore solely based on information available from public sources. According to the Estonian Ministry of Defense, the incursion took place between 9:58 a.m. and 10:11 a.m. in the area of Vindlo, a small island located in the Gulf of Finland in the Baltic Sea. According to the ministry, the jets entered the Estonian airspace without permission and had their transponders switched off,
Yeah.
and did not have flight plans, potentially endangering other aircraft. According to Estonian and Italian officials, Italian F-35 fighters attached to NATO's air defense support mission in the Baltic states were reportedly activated to intercept the Russian jets and warn them off. Sweden, as part of its national response and in coordination with NATO, along with Finland, also reportedly scrambled a rapid reaction aircraft. Estonia stated that this latest incident follows 4 violations of its airspace by Russia this year, and it has requested consultations with NATO allies under Article 4 of the Washington Treaty. The meeting of the NATO North Atlantic Council has been reportedly scheduled to take place tomorrow, 23 September. On 20 September, Russia's defense ministry stated that its fighter jets made a scheduled flight from Karelia on the border with Finland to an airfield in the Kaliningrad region in strict accordance with international airspace rules, without deviating from the agreed flight path and without violating Estonian airspace. According to the Russian Federation, the flight path was over neutral waters of the Baltic Sea, more than 3 kilometers from the island of Vindlo. Mr. President, this latest development follows reported violations by Russian drones of Polish and Romanian airspace. On 12 September, this council convened to discuss the incursion of 19 Russian drones into Poland between 9 and 10 September. On 13 September, according to Romania's Ministry of Defense, a Russian drone was detected in Romanian airspace as 2 Romanian F-16 jets were monitoring the country's border with Ukraine after Russian air attacks on Ukraine. The ministry said that the drone did not fly over populated areas or pose imminent danger. This series of recent incidents further underscored the already high tensions that endanger European security as the war continues to rage in Ukraine. Violations of sovereign countries' airspace are unacceptable. We again urge all concerned to act responsibly, to use all available channels, and to take immediate steps to de-escalate tensions and prevent further risks to regional security. The world simply cannot afford such danger to spiral out of control and for the devastating war in Ukraine to further escalate and expand. Mr. President, over the weekend in Ukraine, Russian drones and missiles continue to hit several regions, killing at least 3 people, injuring dozens more, and damaging civilian infrastructure and residential buildings. Several civilian casualties were reported across the country. According to the Ukrainian authorities, in the central city of Dnipro, a missile with the reported cluster munition hit a residential apartment building, killing at least 1 person and injuring at least 30 others. Local officials reported that 2 people were also killed in the Chernihiv region in the north and the Khmelnytsky region in the west of the country. According to the Ukrainian authorities, over the past week, Russia launched more than 1,500 attack drones,
These jets and drones over
aerial bombs,
other countries is
50 missiles
distracting us a bit from that.
This represents a clear escalation of Russia's attacks against Ukrainian cities and towns.
Of attacks on Ukraine
More
itself.
casualties were also reported over the weekend in the Belgorod region of the Russian Federation, where, according to local officials, 2 civilians were reportedly killed and 4 injured as a result of Ukrainian shelling and drone attacks.
If anything, Putin has escalated
the continuing trend of intensifying widespread attacks once again underscores the need to build on recent initiatives for diplomatic efforts
well, that's why I like
before the situation reaches even more dangerous levels.
Distraction.
We reiterate our call for a full, immediate and unconditional ceasefire to pave the way for a just, lasting and comprehensive peace in Ukraine. In
5 points here.
I think your little crawl across the bottom, following white rabbits down holes is encouraged.
Yeah. Even actually that. Yeah, they're going through some others here that you bringing up Foxanne makes me. I'd actually pulled her up right here. Let's see.
Good evening, Patriots. Foxanne Fury.
With that, I'm very disappointed. I'm disappointed in President Putin.
Breaking news. America is disappointed in Putin. Not outraged. Not mobilized. Just quietly pouting like someone forgot our birthday.
Very disappointed in him.
It's the latest in a long tradition of history's great disappointments. Roosevelt's little frown over Pearl Harbor, Congress sighing through Watergate, the national heartbreak of New Coke, and of course, the war crimes of the Game of Thrones finale. Coming up next, we rank dictators by most likely to ghost you.
I'm disappointed in President Putin.
Fox and Fury, keeping your eyes off the real story. Remember, if you're distracted, we're doing our job.
I mean, who does he think he's fooling with this? I'm disappointed. I mean, he's done this routine several times now. That's supposed to make us think he cares that he's doing anything?
The one thing about Kirk is it did finally seem to put Epstein out of the news. We need to figure out a way to resurrect him.
Oh, there's some junctures coming. They'll get it back in. It'll come and go. I mean, one thing that's coming pretty any day now
We have
is we get the transcript of Alex Acosta's testimony on Friday. I mean, they're trying to suppress it, but they won't get away with it forever. And he's the U.S. attorney who did the sweetheart deal with Epstein we've talked about before. And he testified to the House Oversight on Friday. And and we got some dribs and drabs. I mean, it sounds like he dodged everything, but still, they said they're going to release the transcript, so that should come this week. That'll be a bit of a news hang. And then we've got the vote on the discharge petition that the Republicans are still, some of the Republicans and the Democrats are still pushing to release Epstein records, to vote on that. And then Maxwell's scheduled to testify. Well, not scheduled. She's supposed to testify to House Oversight, Ghislaine Maxwell. So there's some junctures coming up. It'll come back.
Yeah, people really do not like her going to camp.
Yeah, I think she's a real flashpoint.
Yeah, summer camp is not where you put child molesters.
Yeah. So that'll come. That reminds me of another thing here is this Lincoln Project ad, 2 minutes long. This is really hard hitting.
Hey Donald, it's been a minute. We wanted to drop in and let you know the Epstein cover-up isn't working. You know why, right? It's not you. It's your team. Pam Bondi, you might think she looks hot, but she's really screwed up this cover-up. Kash Patel, he put 1,000 FBI agents on the Epstein files. Agents who read everything about you. Every mention, every secret. That's 1,000 people who can ask your secrets. Oops. Dan Bongino, he saw what was there. And now he's a loose cannon. Ready to leak. Ready to blow. Todd Blanche, his interview with Ghislaine Maxwell backfired, but you're too dumb to understand yet. Mike Johnson, he told people you were a snitch for the FBI. That didn't go well, did it? Carolyn Levitt, she's no Sarah Huckabee Sanders, is she? Thinner, sure, but dumb by a long shot. You know no one believes her. Your team is falling, Donald. No one buys the files. Even your own people know you're covering up something dark, something evil. You've tried everything to escape, but Jeffrey Epstein hurts you. All the women he abused, all the children he trafficked, all the girls he raped. Were you there, Donald? Did you watch? Participate? Did you hear their screams? Or did you cause them? You're covering up the Epstein files. But no one can cover up that forever.
Fingers at the end is really ominous.
Speaking of rabbit holes, I just dove down one I was thinking of. The first time that Trump went to the UK, he was criticized for walking in front of the Queen.
Oh, I remember that video.
Yeah.
That video. Yeah.
The fool did it again in front of King Charles.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
He did? He just hates any idea that anybody's superior to him. I mean, well, I love how if you notice when he does events, or I notice it in this DC stuff, when he and Hegseth and JD Vance and Marco Rubio, when they all went to dinner in DC to showcase that it's safe to go to restaurants now in DC. Outside, he did a little presser thing, and the three of them, Rubio and Vance and Hex, they were all stationed around him at equidistant. It was so staged, and they were all had the same, expressions on their face. It's like they had practiced standing at attention behind dear leader. It was weird. It was creepy, and it wasn't natural. I mean, it was it was obviously staged, and they were just going to dinner. I mean, it was really weird. So I guess they're just kind of running through the different countries making their remarks. I mainly just wanted to see this convene and how they describe the incident, and then I always enjoy listening to the Russian tell his lies. It's just fascinating to watch these Russian liars. I mean, they're just so matter of fact about
they're
is
absolutely
down.
blatant. It's oh, that was the
yeah.
other thing I hated about Trump's speech at the Kirk funeral.
Yeah.
It's when he went from reading the teleprompter, which of course he does not use, and it was a perfectly acceptable tribute speech written for him. But every time he looked up and veered off,
Yeah.
he went into one of his
Crazy
frequently
town.
repeated rants.
Yeah.
And so to go from a relatively intelligent speech to the fourth grade giving a book report,
Yeah.
made it so obvious about his mental limitations.
Well, he would do that at his campaign rally speeches. And he'd make jokes about it. He'd talk about, well, they want me to read this prompter, and they've written all this stuff, and you'd rather me just talk, right? And they'd cheer. And I mean, he made a big thing out of going off prompter at the campaign rallies. and his staff, I'm sure his staff would just like in heart attack country, when he would go off, especially in the last couple because the thing is, in the last couple of weeks of the campaign, I've forgotten details now, but he really said some pretty unbelievable stuff, even for him, that could have been a political dynamite, and it was getting traction. There were some things he said in the last week or so of the campaign, when he would go off prompter at these rally speeches, that were making a dent. I can't remember exactly, but then what stepped on it? Biden. Because then Biden, there was one in particular that I thought was really getting traction, something Trump had said that was hurting him. And then Biden had some flub of his own that got more attention and stepped on what Trump, and I was thinking, I mean, Biden didn't need to be saying anything in that last week of the campaign anyway.
The one that I'm wondering about these days is George Bush. he has made no public appearances, no verbal remarks, and I'm just wondering if something isn't going on with him.
You mean something physical, or you're saying
either physical or mental? And it's just rather than just not drawing attention to it in any way. It's the absolute silence that I find unusual.
Slovenia. That's another poor country that's under Putin's political assault. I mean, that's the other thing that's going on while all these jets and drones and so on get attention. Meanwhile, he is just moving ahead on political takeovers of parliaments and stuff that is really making progress. I mean, he's making a lot of progress on that front. Slovenia is one of those places where he could take over the country just politically without a shot fired.
Yeah, too much similarity to Orban.
Oh yeah.
Trump's great hero.
Well, what Trump's doing with the media is right out of Orban's playbook. That's exactly what Orban did with media companies in Hungary. Orban figured out, government doesn't have to directly censor media. They just can threaten the companies that own them with regulations or whatever and get the same result.
That was what was so hilarious about last week tonight. Did you watch?
Oh, Oliver?
John Oliver.
Yeah, I hadn't watched that yet. I usually get around to that later in the day when Pat D posts them.
Well, he's going along about how he was fairly safe because he was on cable, not network, and everything was going to be okay, and they really couldn't threaten him. And then he pulls up the bit about the prospective merger and threatening that, and all of a sudden he goes, "Oh, fuck shit!" It was just a hilarious bit, about he was feeling so safe,
and then because he's HBO, right?
Right.
Who owns HBO? I don't remember.
Oh, he pulled it all up about who they're trying to merge with. I can't put it off the top of my head at the moment. It's something to do with Paramount and
because I guess well, and you gotta wonder
the
what
consolidation of parent company Warner Media with Discovery Inc. to form Warner Brothers Discovery. Yeah,
that's what. HBO, and that involves the CNNs and that
right
also.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering what's going to happen with MSNBC because, of course, Peacock is going just its direction. And
they're
something, switching over, remember, to MS Now. Let's get into Z's.
Right. They didn't have a whole lot of options, I guess, to try and keep some remnant of their logo, but MS Now they're trying to keep something related to MSNBC, but to say MS Now, doesn't, that way it's not that much different. But I almost think they might have been better off with a whole new name, and just start over again.
Too, and maybe merging with what's left of the old progressive radio network with Stephanie Miller and that.
America
Yeah.
America something.
Create their own. If you're going to go far left, go far left.
Yeah. Well, my idea for them is not a new one, but what I would do with the new MSNBC is turn it into talk radio on TV.
Right.
Well, that was really Roger Ailes' innovation. That's essentially what Fox was in the beginning, and he actually did do a channel, oddly enough, for NBC called America's Talking. It was a channel that he started under NBC, and it was called America's Talking. That was the name of it, and it was literally. I mean, he got radio talk show hosts. That's where people like Hannity. He found people like Hannity, and he had Chris Matthews do a show, and they would basically do talk radio shows that just happened to be on TV, but the whole vibe of it was more like talk radio, and it was doing pretty well.
Well, Stephanie Miller is on,
and that was
does stream, which is what made me think of that.
Yeah,
and it would make sense. Who else does it?
Who are you? Mackenzie Clark, Metropolitan Police.
Well, let me find it.
Oh, let's see what France is. See if France is saying anything important.
France directly contributes to Estonia's security. We participate in the strengthening of our security posture on Europe's eastern flank, alongside our allies in the European Union and NATO. Mr. President, we must not forget that at the same time, Russia continues its war of aggression against Ukraine. Just hours after this incursion, it once again carried out massive strikes against Ukraine using 40 missiles and over 550 drones.
550
Russia
drones all at once. I mean, that's so amazing.
Violations of NATO airspace in no way undermine our determination to implement strong.
I mean, that's kind of what he's doing. He's distracting everybody with these jets and drones over other countries, and then
Ukraine
ramping up
courageously
the attacks on
accepted
Ukraine
6 months ago
at the same
now
time.
the principle of an unconditional ceasefire. It has demonstrated its willingness to negotiate. President Volodymyr Zelensky has, for the past 4 months, expressed his readiness for direct negotiations with President Vladimir Putin. Yet, as world leaders gather here in New York to mark the 80th anniversary of the United Nations, such a meeting has still not taken place. Russia, on the contrary, continues its aggression.
None of them are
and
even
Russia
mentioning
is now
Trump.
escalating its
probably
intimidation
afraid to.
of Ukraine's neighbors. It continues to violate and undermine the principles of the UN Charter, the territorial integrity and the sovereignty of states. It is up to Russia to seize the offer of a ceasefire and the opening of negotiations, as called for by the UN Secretary General and the entire international community. Mr. President, it is our responsibility as members of the Security Council to acknowledge the obvious and to call upon Russia to end these reckless provocations and to put an end to the large-scale war that it launched more than 3 years ago on the European continent. Thank you.
I thank the representative of France for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of China.
President, I thank ASG Yancha for his briefing and welcome the high-level representatives of Estonia and other relevant countries to the meeting today. President, the airspace incident discussed by the Security Council today and the drone incident discussed a few days ago are both spillover effects of the Ukraine crisis. They reflect the lack of mutual trust and growing suspicions among relevant parties and illustrate the complex and sensitive nature of the current European security situation. As long as the Ukraine crisis remains unresolved and the war continues, similar incidents are likely to reoccur. Therefore, The urgent imperative and fundamental solution are to realize a political resolution to the Ukraine crisis as soon as possible and to build balanced, effective, and sustainable European security architecture.
So they're
Regarding the
saying
Ukraine
this is
crisis,
happening
we
because
have fully elaborated our
the
position
Ukraine
on
war
multiple occasions at the
isn't
Security Council
resolved.
before. Tomorrow, the
No, it's
Council will
happening
hold a
because
high-level
Putin is sending
meeting on
these
the issue
jets.
of
I mean,
Ukraine,
it's like,
when China will expand our position again. I will not go into details today. On the airspace incident, China urges the parties concerned to remain calm and exercise restraint, clarify facts and dispel doubts through dialogue and communication, avoid misunderstandings and misjudgments, and prevent the situation from expanding or escalating. We always maintain that countries should follow the purposes and principles of the UN Charter in handling international relations. Thank you, President.
I thank the representative of China for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Somalia.
Thank you, Mr. President. At the outset, I would like to thank ASG Yancha.
well, I don't think China took a side necessarily. They just said everybody should be calm.
Yeah, there is a channel called Free Speech TV.
Yeah.
That streams, and that might be the way for to go along with what you said about call-ins.
Yeah.
That might be a way for MSNBC to merge with them.
Yeah. Well, you know, I remember because I knew some people who were producers who were involved in Air America. That's what we were trying to think of, isn't it? The Air America. That was Janine Garofalo and the comedian turned U.S. senator who got tossed out. What was his name? The Saturday Night Live senator.
Oh yeah.
He was on there, and it didn't last very long. In fact, I was going to get hired by them. They had approached me, and we'd worked out a deal. I mean, it wasn't super lucrative or anything. It was just going to be a gig, and before it got started, they shut down Air America. So I never got on board with them.
Anyway, it's all of the old Air America stars. They've got Tom Hartman on there.
Yeah.
And
the trouble with liberal consumers, so to speak, viewers, listeners, is they're just different than right wingers. They don't have the same energy for getting on chat rooms like we're experiencing as Americans. And they're just not. There's just something about the folks on the left who just don't get into that sort of thing as much as they do. So it's hard for channels like that to support themselves.
Well, they have found that there is very much a difference between right-wing brains and left-wing brains.
Yeah. One has brains and the other doesn't. That might be one difference.
No, it's one wants order and dependability, and the other wants nuance and malleable.
Right.
And it's not particularly that either is right or wrong. It's just the way they think about everything. The right wants to be instructed and know how to behave.
And another way of putting that same thing is, yeah. And as far as the nuance, another way of putting that same thought is it's absolutism versus nuance. That's the thing about on the right is they value absolutism. It's this or it's that. There's nothing in between. Man or woman, nothing in between. Whatever the subject. And that absolutism is just, it's just anti-intellectual to, you know, for one thing. I mean, absolutism is just a stupid way to think.
Well, I was watching something last night about this new university in Arizona. It's where they, trying to think how to phrase this, confrontational free speech. The only admission qualifications are passing the upper echelons of intellectual testing, no DEI, and it ran through all the different students. This is their first class, so of course they can't get accredited until their first entry class graduates. But there was not what you would call and it's free.
Oh, yeah, that's.
Yeah, they're building up this fund that supports the students, but there's no dormitories. There's none of the usual things you associate that costs money with universities.
So is it all remote learning, or?
No, they attend classes, but it's like in office buildings.
Oh.
And there's small classes. It's just a whole different concept of what constitutes a university. Shoot, let's see if I can pull up info about it, because you might like to research it.
Oh, the Russians talking.
Oh,
Russia.
Russia is at fault for an incursion into Estonian airspace. As always, there is no proof except the Russophobic hysteria coming from Tallinn, which our Estonian colleague will wax lyrical about a little bit later.
That's all.
As for the facts, the facts prove that on the 19th of September, 3 Russian MiG-31 fighter jets conducted a planned flight from Karelia to an airbase in Kaliningrad Oblast.
There was no
carried
flight
out in
plan.
strict accordance with international airspace use rules. The Russian aircrafts did not stray from the agreed route, nor did they cross into Estonian airspace. Their trajectory, their flight was over the neutral waters of the Baltic Sea, over 3 kilometers from the island of Vindlo. Flight recorded data confirmed this.
Oh, good. Their data.
If Estonia wanted to, it could have checked this
Believe
itself.
that.
But Tallinn is not pursuing such an objective. Their goal is different, going against common sense and the facts to foment hysteria and accuse Russia of provocations. Thus, NATO representatives rushed to call what happened reckless behavior. And the head of European diplomacy, who also happens to be Estonian, called for a firm stance in support of
That's classic
states.
passive aggressive, which is
To be
the
perfectly
most
frank,
hateful
our
trait in
European
humans.
colleagues deserve our
mind,
sympathies.
is passive
After all,
aggression.
the project
Is
they'd been
you provoke
building on
somebody,
our
and then when
borders
they
for years,
react,
the
you
anti-Russia
say,
project,
"You're just being
and this is what
hysterical."
Ukraine was actually turned into after 2014. This project is coming apart at the seams, discrediting itself. Ukraine became the Zelensky concentration camp long ago. It's not sparing its people. They're dying by the thousands
Listen to that.
every day in a senseless
calling
meat
it
grinder in
Zelensky's
the name of
concentration
Western
camp,
geopolitical
Ukraine.
interests. The Zelensky regime has
Amazing.
turned its country into a symbol of corruption, outright theft, violations of human rights, the freedom of religion, and the freedom of speech.
Interesting
In
how
European
these are all the
capitals,
things
despite
Tucker
all of this,
Carlson
they
also says.
continue to laud so-called Ukrainian
It's funny
achievements,
how Russian
giving
talking points
money
and
and weapons to the
Tucker's are
Kiev regime,
almost identical.
although they're clearly increasingly ashamed of their own puppets. However, they can't understand how to disentangle themselves from this fix. As a result, not so creative Euro bureaucrats have found nothing better to do than to whip up anti-Russian hysteria in the hope that European voters won't notice. This is a strange strategy, And without a doubt, it will achieve the opposite of what it intends to do. What will they accuse Russia of next? After all, they're not bothering
I don't know.
to
It's up
check
to
the
you. It
evidence
depends on where
nor
you send jets
the logical
next.
rationale for our actions. It's hard to think where their imaginations will take us next when no one cares about the facts. President, without a doubt, we understand that the hysteria of our European colleagues is also directed at trying to return the
their
new
only
US
evidence for their
administration, including
facts
President
is
Trump,
they
to
say
an
that's what their
anti-Russia course.
reporters
It's
say.
aimed
Okay,
at undermining
release
the
them.
understandings and undertakings
Show us
entered into by Russia and the US
data.
by their presidents in Alaska a month ago. On this note, I'd like to quote the US Vice President, J.D. Vance, who at the Munich Security Conference at the start of this year voiced some uncomfortable conclusions, uncomfortable for Europe. The threat, and here I quote, the threat that I worry about vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia, not China. It's not any other actor, external actor. What I worry about is the threat from within, the retreat of Europe from some of its most fundamental values, values shared with the United States, end of quote.
Isn't that something?
Despite this clear-cut
Quoting our own
diagnosis
vice president
contained
attacking
in
Europe.
the aforementioned quote, Europe
I
decided
don't blame
not to
them,
listen. Europe
because our own vice
today
president did
is like
attack
an
Europe.
unhinged, paranoid
as far as I'm
individual,
concerned, he
unable
works
to
for the
respond
Russians
to
anyway.
criticism. Nor is it able to remember the lessons of history. After all, for the current cast of European leaders and Euro bureaucrats, history was reset to zero in February of 2022. Thus, drawing the lessons of history for today's Europe is bad manners. But this is a very dangerous path. We all know that history is ruthless vis-a-vis those who forget its lessons.
Dangerous path.
Thus, our former European partners, if you want to get hysterical, to foment, and to continue levy baseless accusations, go right ahead. But do that without our participation. We won't be partaking in this theater of the absurd, and you don't need us there. When you decide that you want to engage in a serious discussion about European security, about the fate of our common continent, about how to make this continent prosperous and secure for everybody, we'll be ready. You know where to find us. I thank you.
Yeah. 550 drones over
I thank the representative
Ukraine in a
of,
single day.
Russian
That's where we
Federation
find you
for the statement.
bombing civilians.
I now give the floor to the representative of Panama.
I get offended every time Trump talks about
are grateful for the
Zelensky's
detailed presentation
and
of
totally
Undersecretary
just
General Yencha,
slides over
providing us
that
with
it
more
was a
complete picture.
Russian invasion that started it.
Yeah. You know, you don't start a war with somebody 20 times your size. I mean, it's just like, Russians quoting Vance. I mean, there's just no, I was sort of willing to give them the benefit of the doubt for a little while, but not anymore. I mean, the behavior of this administration is so clear. They're giving away Ukraine to Russia, period, end of story. I mean, I don't care what kind of garbage they have in terms of press releases and meetings, and I'm disappointed and everything else. They're giving away Ukraine they're letting Putin do whatever he wants, period. Well, I pretty much got what I wanted out of this. Was the opening statement of Estonia and a couple of the bigger countries like France. France seemed to be focused on, let's not get distracted from the escalation of Putin's war on Ukraine by all this, which is true. And then the Russians, the Russian position, they're not even trying to say it was a mistake. They're just saying it didn't happen at all. And I haven't seen anyone in the military authorities in Europe or anyone knowledgeable say that it didn't happen. I mean, only the Russians are saying. I mean, all the evidence is clear that in Poland, Estonia, and Romania, they violated airspace. So it's just a matter of what we do about it. Well, I think I'll say goodbye to the UN now. They've done their job. They talked. That's what they do. They talk. This little BBC show I found here is it's kind of a loosey-goosey crowd by BBC standards talking about all this and what Putin's up to, why he's testing NATO. Let's see.
Well, where are you, James? Because you're always on the move now.
Paddy, I'm in Kiev, sat in front of a old.
This is a kind of a loosey-goosey BBC show that I like.
Authoritatively.
Podcast.
I don't think it's quite how you point at it.
And
but
they're kind of
the map
they're
and
real
the border
smart and informed,
is
but
exactly
also
the point.
kind of fun.
Tell us what has happened in Estonia.
Well, we have seen over Estonian airspace over the weekend 3 Russian fighter jets intercepted. That effectively means not being shot down, but being escorted off, if you like, out of Estonian airspace, a NATO member, by jets provided by the likes of Finland and Italy. And it is the second time this month that we have seen NATO members, Estonia now, Poland before, call on what's called Article 4, an urgent meeting of all members to talk about this latest violation by Russia. We've had condemnation from Europe, and we've heard Donald Trump say that he doesn't like it very much. But the question is now whether, as certainly some European members would like, the question is how stern a response will there be, as Moscow clearly is trying to kind of push the boundaries here.
James, when you say there'll be a discussion about what kind of stern response there might be, what are we talking about here? Because for newscasters, Article 4 is very, very different to Article 5. You know, that's the sort of big red button talking about potential action because an attack on one is an attack on all. So what is the range of responses do you think NATO will look at here?
Well, if you look at the American side of NATO, Laura, thus far, there hasn't been concrete action. Donald Trump's mind has not been changed, even by a state visit to the UK, to take more concrete actions against Moscow, either through further sanctions or heightened tariffs for its trading partners. In Europe itself, you know, we are seeing no-fly zones being policed by members in Polish airspace, Estonian airspace, but there is a real appetite to see more in a military sense, perhaps the intercepting of Russian drones from European airspace as they fly through Ukrainian skies. But this is the second time this has happened this month. We've seen 19 drones make their way into Polish airspace, much to the anger of the Polish leadership. We've suddenly seen a bit of political unity there, where they have said, look, we're not on the verge of war, said Donald Tusk, the prime minister, but he said we are the closest to war we have been since the Second World War. So I think there is a growing appetite here for there to be more of an intervention to stop Russia from testing NATO politically and militarily. But of course, it needs the backing of America to level up in that sense.
Mm-hmm. Here's what President Trump said.
Russian jets entered Estonia's airspace today for 12 minutes. Do you see that as a threat to NATO?
Well, I'm going to have to look at it. They're going to be briefing me in a short while, so I'll let you know about it tonight or tomorrow.
What's your take in general?
Well, I don't love it. I don't love it when that happens. It could be big trouble, but I'll let you know later. They're going to brief me in about an hour.
And a follow-up.
Russia, someone wiser than me put it, is rattling.
Who does love it?
It's letting NATO know with a drone over Poland, with a jet over Estonia, that it's seeing what we've got in the locker. And the reason that they're doing that really is because there seems to have been a sort of schism between the US security guarantee and the European security guarantee. And NATO is the vehicle that has kept the peace and Russia has always respected/feared it. So any kind of suggestion that Donald Trump is inconsistent in dealing with the European powers and inconsistent in dealing with Moscow is the ideal time to test what we've got in the locker. So it's not difficult to see what Moscow's doing. All the old Kremlin watchers have told us this is totally predictable. Really, what it comes down to is things that will actually hurt them, like sanctions and the fact that Hungary, the EU member, buys oil from Russia, James. This is still Donald Trump's point. He can't really assist Europe till Europe assists itself.
Yeah, and many will argue that he's got a point. You know, why would America help, he says, if there are European states continuing to buy Russian oil and gas? You know, at some point in this full-scale invasion, more was being purchased than the value of economic and military aid that was being provided to Ukraine. So you wonder what scrambling there is going on in the background to try and entice or coerce Donald Trump into those tougher measures that you illustrate. But yeah, it might be obvious as to why Russia is flying drones in this way, sort of spilling outside the arena of this war. But there was also a fear that, yes, it poses uncomfortable NATO questions. The jury's out on Russia's military capability to say mount something beyond Ukraine, depending on what happens here. But it certainly sort of paves that political path ahead of what could be further conflict.
And James, it's always great to have you with us. And I remember not so long ago, we had an episode where we had a really long conversation about what was going on in Ukrainian public opinion. I just wonder, that's some months ago. Now Trump has sort of settled back into the White House and he's doing what he does and not being completely clear about willingness to go further on Ukraine, although he, sometimes seems to say all the right things. And Keir Starmer sort of, you can almost hear him inside his head going, phew, thank goodness he said something rude about Vladimir Putin. But now the sort of Trump reality that there isn't quick, strong, radical moves from him to try and bring this to an end. And of course, we've had the Putin visit. How would you describe what it feels like being in Ukraine right now?
So I came back last week after a few weeks sort of across Europe covering the attempted peace talks. And I think that ambiguity is now being embraced by Ukraine. We went to a briefing a couple of days ago in the foreign ministry, and at times it seemed like a fundraiser. They were talking about urging allies to contribute more money for their drone production, to help prop up their economy. The Economist reckons it costs around $140 million per day for Ukraine to keep fighting this war. I asked the spokesman about the so-called coalition of the willing. What are Ukraine's European allies able to provide once a ceasefire, if a ceasefire is ever reached? How is the White House reacting to your calls for striking deeper into Russia or stationing Western troops inside Ukraine? And the detail just isn't forthcoming. It is a depressing rhythm that I have seemingly returned to. The costs are no less for Ukraine, and the sirens are the worst I have seen them when we are seeing north of 500, 600 drones launched.
James, did you say 600 drones?
600 would be an average number now. We are seeing the Russians at the moment have the capability.
It took me a while to find it, but I did.
There were 500 last night. Thankfully, there wasn't a loss of life that's being reported by the different.
And it's in Texas, and 60 Minutes did a whole episode on it last night. But they're getting rid of anything woke.
Oh.
And it's
the assault on colleges and turning colleges into thought police.
But these are
I saw Oklahoma. They got a law or something they're about to pass in Oklahoma requiring every university, college, every public college in Oklahoma to erect a Charlie Kirk statue These are the same people who want Martin Luther King statues torn down, I think. Well, that's the 1 hour mark. I think that's enough for one day.
Yeah, I was trying to put up this link for you because I think you would be interested.
On Trail Mix?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and put it on Trail Mix for you to see because it is very interesting what they are trying to do. And I think you would like it.
This isn't the one they're trying to get rid of woke. You're saying?
Yes, this is the one they're trying to get rid of woke. It's located in Texas, and it's a new startup university.
It sounds like, what are they going to teach? White supremacy? Is that their curriculum?
Well, it doesn't quite work out that way, but admissions are based strictly on academics and no consideration for DEI, which of course means most of the students outside of a couple of Asians and so on are white. But they make it sound so attractive.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought you might enjoy being exposed to it. So I will go put it on Trail Mix, and you have a lovely day.
You too. Enjoyed chatting as always.
Bye-bye.
I'm going to wrap up here with some of the videos we've got about our old pal Putin and what I've done. I've done probably 4 or 5. I'm going to run out here at the end of this. And
okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
So long. Yeah, there you are. How Putin invades. Oh, it's right there. Going to wrap up today's live stream with a few videos on war in Europe. War in Europe widening. Putin doesn't need tanks to invade NATO. He's already inside their parliaments and news feeds. Yesterday, 3 Russian jets buzzed Estonia. The scarier invasion is quieter. Moscow's networks are backing pro-Kremlin candidates across Europe, trying to fracture NATO unity. Romania even tossed out an entire election for Russian interference. This isn't some prank. It's Putin betting he can break us without firing a shot.
The Swedish military released these two photos on Friday of Russian jets that it said had taken part. It specified the pictures were taken over the Baltic Sea after the violation occurred. Reuters was able to confirm the aircraft seen in the pictures as Russian MiG-31 fighter jets. Estonian Foreign Minister Margus Tsahkna said his country called for a NATO meeting, which will take place next week.
War in Europe expanding. I don't think this is a very good time to have Donald Trump as our president.
Okay, I'm Lady Mau Mau, Craig's built-in emergency brake. If this wasn't enough for you, sign up for the newsletter. It's free, it's thoughtful, and it occasionally makes sense.